Okay, today's daf is daf Chav Zayin. We are going to begin on daf Chav Vav Amud Beis at the bottom, and Bezrat Hashem, we're going to finish the perek. Zog the Gemara Omer Rabbi says, Zorak tinik merei shagag, if a person threw a child from a roof, Oba acher v'kivu b'sayif, and another person came and stuck out his sword. He sees this child falling down from the sky, and he takes his sword to kill him. So the halacha is Pluk said Rabbi Yehuda ben Pseir v'Rabbanan. So machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda ben Pseir and Rabbanan. The Tanya we learned, Yiko asara b'nei Adam b'asara maklis, that if 10 people beat somebody with 10 sticks, so the halacha is like this: you have 10 people, they each have a stick, and they beat a person, and he died. So the halacha is bein b'vasachas bein b'zeh, whether they beat simultaneously or one after another. So the halacha is kulam p'tun, and they're all patur. Why? Because it's impossible to say which person was the one who killed this person. Now, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir says no. Ha'achrein chayiv, the last one is chayiv. Why? Mipnei shekidiv misasi, because he was the one who brought the victim's death closer. So too in this case, even though the first one threw the child, the one to actually kill the child with the sword hastens his death. And therefore, according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir, he would be chayiv for misa. Next case, the Gemara discusses a scenario: if a person threw a child from a roof, and ba sheir v'kibla b'karnav, an ox came and killed him with his horns. So the question is whether or not the owner of the sheir has to pay a koifer. Pluk said Rabbi Shmuel b'nei shel Rabbi Yechon ben Breka v'Rabbanan. So machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel b'nei shel Rabbi Yechon ben Breka v'Rabbanan. The Tanya v'nosam pidyon nafshei says he shall give from the redemption of his life the main nizik, which implies that he has to pay the value of the injured party, the one who was killed. Shmuel b'nei shel Rabbi Yechon ben Breka imer demei hamazik, it's the value of the one responsible for the damage. Since the child that was thrown off the roof had no monetary value at the time that the ox scored him, because it's like he already died, the Chachamim would make the owner patur from paying a koifer. According to Bishmol, the owner of the ox has to pay the value of the family of the victim. The value to the family of the victim. Now, Rabbi says, if a person fell from a roof and he landed on a lady, and he had relations with her. In other words, he landed in a way but had no kavanah. So the halacha is chayiv b'arba dvarim. He's chayiv in damaging the woman, the four we spoke about, which is the four hazekas, nezek tzari b'shev subeishis, ubibam dalei koina, and if the woman was an almane, he's not koina because he didn't have kavanah to be koiner. Now chayiv b'nezek b'tzar b'ribe and b'sheves, aval beishis loy. Why? Because we learned in a Mishnah, if somebody falls from a roof and damages somebody, so he's chayiv for the nezek, but ain't chayiv ala beishis achiyam miskaven. In order to be chayiv beishis, you have to have kavanah. Rabbi says a fourth thing: if a person fell off a roof, but it wasn't a normal wind. So this person fell from a rush and he landed on a person, and he damaged, and he also was mavayish the person that he fell on. The lech is like this: chayiv ala nezek, it's chayiv for damage, but upater be'arba dvarim, it's put on these four things. But if beruach mitzuya, if it was with the beruach mitzuya, v'hizik ubiyish, then chayiv arba dvarim, he's chayiv for nezek tzar ribe v'sheves. Upater ala beishus, but he's pater for beishus. Why? Because he did not have kavanah. If he turned over himself in the middle of the falling in the way of hana, in order to fall on the person and to not hurt himself, then chayiv ala beishus is chayiv for the beishus. The Tanya we learned, the fact that the Torah says that he sent, the Torah says, people are fighting, and then it says, do I not know that she took him over there. So why does the Torah have to say that? Since he had a mind to damage the friend, even if your kavanah was not to actually embarrass, but there's kavanah over there, you're chayiv. Rabbi says like this. If a person placed hot coal over another's heart, and the person v'meis, so the person died. So the halach is pater. Why? Because the person has the ability to take off the coal from his chest. But if it's al big day, if he placed the coal on the garment and v'nisra, the garment burnt, so then chayiv is chayiv to pay for the damage, because it's possible that the one whose garment was burnt thought to sue the one who placed the coal on his clothes for the cost of the garment, and that's why he did not bother to remove it. Rabbi says, Travayu tinahanani. We learned both of these halachas in Mishnayos elsewhere, like this. Al libayin, with regards to his heart, we learned the Tanam, we learned in the Mishnah, Kovesh alav l'tech or l'tech hamayim. If a person held another in a fire or in a water, and the victim is unable to go out himself and he dies as a result, but Mason he dies, chayiv, the person's chayiv for murder. But if he pushed him into fire, into water, and he can get out of there, and he died, pater, he's pater. So the case of the one who places a coal on another chest is similar to the one where he pushes the victim into the fire or the water where the victim has the ability to escape. Big doi, with regard to the garment of another person, tonight we learned in the Mishnah, kra esksusi, if a person says to another, tear my garment, or shaber eskadi, break my jug, and the other person does so, chayiv, he's chayiv to pay for it. I'm an ass lifter, but if he said, tear my garment on the condition that you will be exempt from liability, he's exempt. So it is therefore clear that even when one granted permission by the owner of the item to damage it, this does not grant him an exemption from being liable. In the case where the owner did not grant permission, the one who caused the damage is certainly chayiv. If a person placed the coal over the heart of a person, of the Knani slave, and then the slave died, so what's the halacha? Is the body of the slave comparable to the body of another person? Or is it comparable to the property owned by the master and therefore would be chayiv? If you say that the body of the slave is comparable to the body of an ordinary person, as the slave has the ability to remove the coal from himself and therefore should be pater, shedi mao. What's the halacha in regards to a shed? Hadar pashte. He said, avde kegufei, the body of a slave is comparable to the body of another person, as a slave possesses seichel and should have the sense to remove the coal from himself. Shede kimemene, and the ox is comparable to a person's property. Hadin alach kitzarego, we now finish the second perek, and now we're going to begin the next perek, perek shlisha, maniach sakad, b'reshus harabim. Many of us remember this in school. Cheder is one of the first parakim that we start learning. Okay, let's bring some memory back. If somebody places a kad is a type of keli, and he places this in Reshus Harabim. And what happened? Another person came and he stumbled from the kad and ushvar, and he broke the kad. So what's the din pater? The person is pater from paying what he broke. Why? Because what in the world is this guy putting his kad? Now, if the person who stumbled on it, he incurred a damage, so the halach is Bal Hachav is chayiv b'niskei. The person who owns the keli is chayiv to pay for it. Now, zog the Gemara pasach bekad v'sim b'chavis. If you notice, the Mishnah starts off hamaniach as hakad b'reshus harabim. You place the jug in the reshus harabim, and then it says that if the jug damages the person, Bal Hachav is chayiv. The person who owns the chavis is chayiv. So, for the Gemara, pasach bekad v'sim b'chavis. The Mishnah began a presentation in the case of a kad, and ended in regards to a chavis. And then the Utnanam, we learned in another Mishnah later on. The Mishnah says, Zeh ba b'chavise v'zeh ba b'karose. If two people were walking down the street, this one comes with his chavis, and this one comes with his crossbeam. Nishbara kadi shozeh b'karoshe shozeh, and this one's kad was broken by the one's crossbeam. So the halach is pater. The person holding the crossbeam is pater. So over there, right there, pasach b'chavis v'sim b'kad. We start off with chavis and end with a kad. Another scenario. Kanami, we learned in the Mishnah later on. Zeba bechavisa shel yayin v'zeba bekadesh shel yayin. If this person came with the chavis of wine and this person came with the kad of honey, nistaga chavis shel dvash, and the chavis of honey, which is more valuable, cracked. And this person poured out the wine and saved the honey by collecting it into the keli. He receives only reimbursement of his trouble. He cannot claim the value of the money that the wine that he poured out, because nobody asked him so. So weiter, another example, pasach bekad v'sim bechavis. We start with a kad and end with a chavis. So I'm going to papa. The papa says, you know what? Hainu kad, hainu chavis. Kad and chavis is the same thing. These two words are interchangeable. What difference does it make? The mekach memkar, buying and selling. If a customer asked for a chavis, now what's a chavis? A chavis is a large vessel, and the seller gave him a kad, which is a smaller keli. The buyer cannot claim that he did not receive the item that he asked, because kad and chavis are interchangeable. So the Gemara says, hey chidami, what are the circumstances? If we say that it's with regards to a locale, where people do not refer to kad as chavis, the chavis they karu kad, and they do not refer to chavis as a kad, and chavis is understood as a larger keli. So clearly, halei karla, if somebody asks for a chavis, does not wish to buy a kad. People don't call it that way. So the answer is like tzricha, it's not necessary. It's necessary to teach a case in regards to the rube karla, the kad, the chavisa, chavisa, where most people call a kad, and a chavis a chavis. In other words, most people use the term kad for the smaller keli, and the term chavis for a larger one. Economy the karla chavisa, kad la kad chavisa. And there are also those who call a chavis a kad and a kad a chavis, not distinguishable between the two terms. So now the tema you would think zil basaru, but you go after the majority, and the seller and the buyer must accept the distinction. Therefore, it teaches us that in regards to money, we do not go after the majority, and in cases of a suffix, the Mishnah taught concerning the case of a keli that was placed in a public domain. Another person came and stumbled and broke on it. Potter, he is a potter. My potter, why is he exempt? This person walking in the Rosh Hashanah should look where he's going. We're talking about a case of with regards to a person who placed not just one barrel on the road, but rather filled the entire Rosh Hashanah with barrels blocking the path. Since the Rosh Hashanah belongs to everyone, a pedestrian is entitled to travel over there, even if it necessitates breaking kelim. Shmuel says, we're talking about that it was very dark, therefore he cannot see what he was doing. Rabbi Yechlan says, we're talking about a case where the barrel was placed at the corner of the road, so the pedestrian cannot have seen it as he rounded the corner before stumbling on it. Amar Papa says, like Daika Masnisin Ella Shmuel Yechlan. The Mishnah is precise only according to either Shmuel or Rabbi Yechlan. If Rav, my area nitkal, why would he bring me the case specifically of a person who stumbled on the barrel? Afilu shavarnami, even if he broke the barrel intentionally, he should not be able to pay, as the owner of the barrel had no right to block the public road. Okay, Amr is who I didn't afilu shavar. So he says even if it broke, the same din. And why did it say nitkal? I did, but the Mishnah Seifa, since the Seifa it said and if he gets damaged, that the owner is chayav to pay for the damage. The dafke nitkal, dafke if he stumbled, aval shavar, if he broke it loy, my time out, who da azal nafshay, because it is he who damaged himself by not being careful by breaking it. Tani reisha nitkal, so therefore the reisha taught the case of stumble. Accordingly, the Mishnah's wording is precise even according to Rav. Omer le Rabbi Abba le Rabbi Ashi, he says, Hachi Amr Marav Mishmei Rabbi Ula. This is what they said in the name of Ula. The fish and Dakar Shemini Adam Lizbenim B'drachim. It's not the typical manner of people to examine the roads, as they assume the road is unobstructed. Therefore, a person who breaks an item placed in the road as a result of not watching is not chayav to pay for the damage. There was an incident in Ardai where a person stumbled on a jug in an open and broken. Shmuel made him chayav to pay the damage. Similarly, in Pumbedisa, Rava deemed the person chayav. So the Gemara says, maybe according to Shmuel, it makes a lot of sense. The Mishnah refers to a case where a person stumbles in the dark, as otherwise he is chayav for breaking the barrel, since he should have examined the road. Does Rava hold like Shmuel, that one who breaks an item in Rosh Hashanah is potter from paying only if it was dark? So Amar Papa, the Papa says, Karna da'atzra havya. The incident was at the corner where an olive press, where it's known that people put their jugs over there. Even the Rishus HaKavdi, since he's walking with permission, he should examine the roads and then continue walking. He said like this, the Chacham said that a person who hits another person and humiliating him, so the Dayanim determined the liability as follows. Leda Kuva, for the Kuva, Shalish, he has to pay 3 selas. Ulevita, for kicking, Chamish, he has to pay 5. Vilis, Nikoides, punching a person, he has to pay Shleishasrei. Lefanda, so the Gemara asks, Lefanda, the Mara, Kifini, the Mara Mai, what would be a case if a person takes an axe and hurts somebody with it? How much does he have to pay? Shalchalei, so Rav Nachman sent the following response. Chizda, knasa, kamabis, bebava, chizda, you want to collect a knas and bubble? We don't collect knas and bubble. Emily Gufa, tell me how the incident itself transpired. Shalchalei, Chizda said to him, Tahu gargusa de beitrei, there was a certain cistern belonging to 2 people whose arrangement was the choyema have a dali chad minar. They would alternate which day they would use the well. Also, chad one day, called dali b'yema delay, the guy who was not supposed to draw from the cistern was drawing on not on his day. Amrle, he said, Yema didi, it's my day. So and the other guy, la'ashkech bey, didn't listen to him. So what happened? Shkal pandi the mother machi took his hoe and he beat him up. And then the guy sued him for damages. So Amrle, Rav Nachman said to him, Mea pandi b'pandi l'machi. In that case, you should have hit him even 100 times with this hoe. Even according to the opinion who holds that a person is not allowed to go take matters into his own hands, he has to go to base them, but if there's a makom pseida, he's allowed to. Now, but when there's a pseida, nobody argues. Every person could go ahead and take justice into his own hands. When do they argue? When there is no loss. Rabbi Yehuda says a person should not go before Dayanim to take a person should not take matters into his own hands. Why? To keep him the lekab seder, since there's no loss, he should go to a din teda. Nachman says a person could take justice into his own hands. The keep him the bedin avad, since he's acted al pidin loy tarach, he does not need to trouble himself to go before Dayanim to enforce the law. He can take matters into his own hands. Masud Rav Kana says, Ben Bag says, a person did not enter a person's courtyard secretly to take what is rightfully yours without permission. Why? Maybe you're going to look like a ganav. Rather break his teeth, in other words, take it by force. And you should tell the guy, you should know I'm taking what belongs to me. Rabbi said to him, Daf Chof Ches Imach. The Torah says you keep questioning to yourself. Ben Bagbag Yichidoyu. Ben Bagbag is an individual opinion. Upligid Abban Allah, and the Chachamim argue on him. Rabbi Yana says, Mashver Shina, what does it mean you have to break your teeth? It means bedin, to go to sue him in a din teda. Where it says, instead of saying they said to him, should have said the base din say to him. The Gemara says, Taka, Kasha, it's not a question. Okay, we'll start from Tosh.